So hello everyone, we are having a pen off today. So let me know in the comments what you think is better, a fountain pen or a fine liner. What do you prefer for your sketching? Now for me, I'm going to score this race, this competition, in 4 different categories. So we're going to look at the ink flow, we're going to look at the flexibility, we're going to look at the quality and variation we can get in our inks, and we're going to look of course at cost and durability. And we're going to see which one wins. Of course, we're all going to think different things, and that's fine, but I'm just letting you know my opinion. And I've put little affiliate links as well down in the bottom if you do want to look up the pens I'm talking about today. But without further ado, let's get on with our competition. So, category 1 is the ink flow that we can get from these pens. So, if I take my LAMY Safari, we'll find if I hold it really loose and the right way around, we get a really lovely, gentle flow of ink. And I can flip it around and I still, holding it so loose, get a lovely ink flow. If I come and hold it even closer, then we get a much more certain flow of ink. So, test number 1 passed by the fountain pen, really smooth, lovely flow of ink. Now if I take something similar, let's take a 0.3mm fine liner. If I try and hold it loose, we get nothing. So we can't get a lovely flow like this, but if we hold it the right way around, we do get a lovely flow of ink. This is lightly textured paper, so we can see both of them are doing quite well on the same thing. But category 1, flow of ink, for me, the fountain pen gets it because we can be a bit more varied in how we're holding it. Category 2, now we're on to flexibility. So flexibility, let's again take the same LAMY and let's see how varied we can make our line. So upside down we've got a very fine line. The right way up we've got a less fine, quite fine line. And then what happens if we sort of press? Well, it goes pretty bold, doesn't it? And then if we change, this happens to be a medium nib, so we've gone from extra fine to medium, we can get quite a fine line all the way up to something quite bold again. Probably a bit bolder than that one, but not a huge amount bolder. So actually the total range is quite big, but it's probably biggest in our extra fine pen. So we'll now do the same with our rotring, and we'll go really gentle, and then we'll press much harder. So we definitely haven't got something either as gentle as this or as firm as this. So within the single pen, we're not getting as much flexibility. But what happens if we take something really fine? So if we go to 0.03, well, that's incredibly fine, isn't it? So this is finer than the finest thing we can get from our extra fine LAMY. And then what happens if we take something really bold? So 0.8mm. And that's very bold, but it's probably the same as the fountain pens, isn't it? About 0.8. Of course, these can go up. So we could get a 1.0, you can get even 1.1, 1.2, 1.5. So we could, in theory, with our fine liners, go really bold. Again, we've got within one pen, within the range of one pen, this is definitely winning. But that brings us to the advantage of our fine liners, which is there's a huge range by having more than one thing. So I'm going to call this one a draw. Category 3 is the range of ink and the quality of the ink. So I've got 3 different inks in my fountain pen. So in one I've got a waterproof ink. So if we do a little sketch, we'll be able to check how waterproof that is. In the next one I've got a brown water soluble ink. And again, do the same little mark, and we'll see what that's like in a moment. And then in this last one I've got a sort of bog standard LAMY black ink. Now, all of these things we can add through buying ink bottles and filling them through ink converters, or by just getting bog standard ink cartridges. The difference with fine liners is we basically have whatever ink is in them. So in the rotring we've got a waterproof ink, in the Staedtler, we've got a different waterproof ink. Both of these are black, but you can probably tell that actually the Rotring is more grey-black. But there are ones which are definitely different colours. So you can get grey, you can get sepia. This one I've got is grey. The thing here is all these fineliners tend to be waterproof. What we can see actually with both, it's quite easy to change the colour of the ink. The way that the fountain pens win is it's much easier to change the solubility of the ink. So here we can see that the water fast ink in the LAMY, very water fast, and that's going to be the same with all of these as well. So we can get with both of them equally good quality water fast ink. Now with these on the other side we get amazing effects with water, and this is something we can't do with our fineliners. So in this test I'm going to say for the flexibility and quality of the ink I'm going to give it to the fountain pens. And the last little challenge that I'm going to put these guys up against is the cost. And we don't want this to be the most important, but in many ways it is the most important thing, because if it's unaffordable, we can't, well, afford it, we can't get it. So what do these guys cost? Well, you can buy a multi-pack of something like these Unipins. You might get 10 or 11 different sizes for something like £10 to £15 if you're very lucky. The problem with that is you often only want a couple of sizes, and I almost always sketch with a 0.2 or a 0.3 mil. So having all these sizes isn't the huge saving. So what do they actually cost on their own? £3 or £4, and that pen will last quite a long time. Now this comes on to the sort of sub bit of this challenge, which is durability. I don't find these pens last all that long. So even this 0.8 mil, when I brought it out earlier to use, and I can't because it's run out of ink, it doesn't last as long as you might think. So what about the costs over here? Well, these pens on their own, they probably cost about £20. The ink converter is about £5, and a big bottle of ink is about £15, depending on the ink you get. So £40 to fit out a fountain pen. So for one fountain pen, you could get about 15 individual ones of these, or 2 or 3 packs. So you could have tons and tons of fineliners. The thing is, you from that one bottle of ink, you can get a year or more of sketching, which you probably won't achieve from the same number of these. In fact, I've been using the same bottle of ink for a couple of years and I do an awful amount of sketching. Equally, with one pen, you're getting so much more flexibility and durability. These nibs don't, for me, they haven't worn out, despite often sketching on hard, rough paper, whereas these nibs will wear out very quickly. So often your pen doesn't run out, it dies, it gets broken. So I'm going to give, although it costs more, I think you get a lot more sketching for your money and a lot more durability from the fountain pens. So there we have it, and if you knew me at all, you knew it was a foregone conclusion and my beloved LAMY Safari was going to win. Now, of course, you knew that because I always use it, and I use it because I love it. So I haven't made it up, I haven't cheated, I genuinely believe these things. But I hope you also got from this video that actually these are great, and I use these for certain things, for more controlled sketches, for going on holiday with when I don't want to carry a bottle of ink, and for just experimenting and having fun. So both options are perfectly valid, and some people will hate fountain pens or love them. Some will hate fineliners or love them. Let me know in the comments what's your favourite. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and also feel free to ask any questions. Most importantly though, happy sketching.